Welcome back to the Rules of Language Learning. My name is Olly Richards. Now, a long time ago, many years ago, when I first started learning foreign languages, the olden days, you might call it, I used to have an impressively studious way of learning languages. I would buy a textbook, sit in my room, and then just work my way through the book. That's what I did. It seems quite old-fashioned when I think about it, and for many years, whenever I learnt a new language, I would pretty much do the same thing. Buy book, sit in room, study book. Simple as that. And it worked really well for me. But then at some point things, they started getting pretty wild. Something called the internet came along. It became a thing. The iPod came out. And then something called Netflix, with TV and movies in different languages on demand. It's enough to blow your mind. Just like this amazing YouTube channel with quality videos on language learning every single week. So hit subscribe. But of course, there was more. The iPhone was released. Or, to be more accurate, I finally caved in on a 5-year personal battle never to buy the same phone that everyone else was buying. So I was a bit late to the party with the iPhone. But before I knew it, the textbooks were in the bin, old habits were out the window, and my shiny new language learning routine seemed to consist of sitting on a train playing with apps on my phone. Now, at the time, this was a revolution. This was hugely exciting. The idea of sitting at my desk with a book. It started to seem like an inefficient, out-of-date, prehistoric way to learn languages. After all, we had the internet now. We had the iPhone. So, why get out of bed an hour early when I can study languages throughout the day just using the phone in my pocket? But as you might imagine from my mildly sarcastic tone, all of this increase in possibilities and options and technology wasn't necessarily being matched by results in my language learning. Because it's easy to forget in all the hype over new technology that we do actually want stuff to help our languages improve. We want to speak languages better as a result of all this new stuff, right? Small point, I know, but I'm a bit fussy that way. Now, the truth was that, for me, the more convenience I had in my pocket, the less progress I seemed to make in my languages. And in my opinion, this has something, or a lot, to do with the unavoidable distraction that comes with your smartphone. You see, it's not that there's anything wrong with learning languages with apps or any kind of modern technology. There's some fantastic stuff out there. The trouble is that the way that we tend to use modern technology is to fit our learning into ever decreasing chunks of free time during our day. Waiting for the bus, waiting for a meeting to start, while driving. But of course, just because something is possible in language learning, it doesn't mean it's a good thing to do. So I started to observe my own behaviour during the day. And while it's true that I had suddenly found all this extra time for learning in my day that my iPhone had freed up for me, 5 minutes here, 20 minutes there, I quickly realised that what happened in that free time looked very different to the olden days when I was studying quietly in my room, 100% focused with the door closed. So yes, I had 15 minutes for reading on the train, but I spent half the time distracted by the football results that I was pretending not to read on the back of the newspaper of the guy sitting opposite me. Yes, I had 10 minutes to do flashcards when I was walking to work, but the danger of tripping over a dog or falling in the canal meant that very little of that time was actually spent studying. There came a point where I said to myself, I may be studying or doing things for hours a day, but it's not actually adding up to anything. Now, according to Gloria Mark, who studies digital distraction at the University of California, Irvine, it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to return to the original task after an interruption. That's 23 minutes and 15 seconds there. Hear that and then think about the number of distractions on your average train journey and how much time that must cost you. So I decided to go full nuclear on the technology, and I went back to sitting down at my desk with the door closed, and things immediately started improving. You see, learning a language is not a question of accumulating more and more knowledge. There are dots to join up, there are connections to be made, there are epiphanies and aha moments to be had inside your brain. You can't predict when or how these are going to happen. But one thing's for sure, these epiphanies do not come when you are distracted and only half focused on the task at hand. They don't come when you have half an eye on the clock or when your mind is racing with all the tasks of the day. Being busy, as they say, is not the same thing as being effective. There's a strong relationship between depth of focus and learning. The deeper that you go into a book, the more times you go over a difficult passage of audio in an effort to really understand it, the more you examine a strange word order of a sentence, look up the radicals of a Chinese character, or practice pronouncing a difficult word, the more time and focus you bring into what you're doing, the more relaxed you feel, the less distracted you'll be, and the more opportunities you create to actually form connections in your brain and learn something. Now, I'm not saying not to use your dead time for language learning. And yes, something is always better than nothing. But the beauty of having some dedicated focused time as part of your daily language learning routine is that when it comes to using your dead time later throughout the day for language learning, that dead time will suddenly start to become much more effective. Because rather than relying on that dead time for all of your learning, you can instead start to use that time to revisit, practice and reinforce what you've already learned in other more focused time, maybe earlier on in the day. So if you're not seeing the progress you want in your languages, do yourself a favour. Sit down at your desk, close the door and enjoy what happens. And definitely turn off that phone. Now, what do you think? Am I on the mark with my anti-smartphone hate speech, or am I just getting a bit old and a little bit behind the times? You know what to do. Leave me a comment below. Just go easy on me, okay? And I'll see you back for the next rule of language learning. Thanks for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it and you'd like me to continue this series of the rules of language learning, then you can let me know by liking this video. Also, if you'd like to be notified when I upload new videos every week, then you can subscribe to the channel using the big red button below, and the videos will pop right up in your news feed.